Hello, Libra. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. For the main part of the read, we're using Tarot Illuminati by Eric C. Dunn. Supportive Oracle cards, Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards by Tori Hartman, illustrated by Gretchen. There's Gretchen's last name. That way, if you want to look up any of these creators, you can easily do that. Tori does have other things. I know she does. She has another deck, at least one. And I don't know about the other two off the top of my head. But in case you like some of the art you're seeing here, or something you like, you can find that fairly easily. That's an interesting spot. Let's see how this goes. You got a lot in the beginning too. Okay. Libra. Okay. Now, going into this is very peculiar. The three of these together, but you got the Knight of Swords. So there's a lot of talk you're doing here. You're talking about something. I feel like you're trying to move on from a problem. To recover from a situation, you have to start it anew. So what does that mean? It's almost like, I'm feeling like a car analogy here for whatever reason. It's kind of like the car broke down. To renew the situation, it's kind of like I need a new car. I can't keep going with the way it's been. I do need a car, but I can't keep going with that same car. So to renew it and recover it, I need to get a new one. I literally feel like that's what it is. Like the situation, I've been going along with the same vehicle. It broke down again. I can't keep doing this. To get this situation back online, I need a new vehicle. I keep getting that. And I'm getting you have to keep talking about it. It takes a lot of talk and a lot of negotiation because you can't keep going. You can't keep pulling back the same way it has been. It's like you've been fixing that car and fixing that car and fixing that car. You know what? To get renewal, I need a new car. I need a new one. That's it. But there's a lot of talk. Constant talk, going back and forth, going back and forth. But that's how I feel like this is going. And you have to leave something behind to start anew. But the situation itself is still there. It's just something, there's a piece of it that has to be removed and then replaced. It's almost like, you want to keep using the same kitchen, but the stove crapped out. Like it just crapped out, so you got to get a new one. The kitchen you're going to keep using, but it's going to be a new stove. It's the same type of analogy. Like something has to be removed and replaced so the overall situation can work. I feel like I have to keep talking about it. I feel like at this point, you have to keep going over it and keep going over it and keep going over it and keep going over it until finally it starts moving forward. When you finally make your point, and it seems like it takes a lot of breath, like, you have to keep talking about it. Finally, it hits. The star card does come in where your wish is granted is kind of what I'm getting. Like wishing upon a star, that's kind of what I'm feeling from it. So it kind of feels like that is what I'm getting. Optimism, positive energy comes in. This does seem to get going better. The Ace of Wands comes in telling me things really start to kick forward the way they should. Kind of like I got rid of that thing that wasn't working. I got something in here that does work. Now there's a breath of fresh air. Things really seem like they could work. This seems really good. This starts you on a whole new leg of the journey. Now that we can do this, I can do so much more with this space. Now that I've got an oven that works correctly and I don't have to keep, working around it or trying to make it work. Now that it works the way it should because I got the right one here, I can make so much more. I can do so much more. I can get it all taken care of. Same thing with the car. I don't have to take certain roads or be careful or just keep the gas tank at a certain level or keep refilling the tires. I don't have to do that anymore because now I got something that I don't have to maintain it that way. It works the way it should. The thing is, now that you're on that new quest, you're feeling like now you have a higher standard. Now the bar has been raised. Now that I've done this, now that I have this better thing, now I got to do better than I have been. Be careful. Be careful. I don't think you have to raise the bar. I feel like raising the bar it could become a problem. You're going to decide what you have to do. I mean, clearly you have to make your own decisions. But they're saying you really don't have to do that. You can keep it at the same level. You can keep going the way you were. You don't have to make things more intense, but if you insist to, you will. I understand you have to do what you have to do. They're saying you don't have to do that to yourself, though. If you don't want to, that's not really required here. I feel like you're putting that expectation on yourself. So you make that decision. You make that call. You have to do what you think is right. Because no matter what way you go, there's going to be another change in the environment. It's kind of like I fixed the car. Now there's something else. Like now, I don't know, something isn't right. Something still isn't right. It's almost, I feel like the kitchen analogy is better. I fixed the stove. Now the power keeps going out. Like, wait a minute, what? Like, I just fixed the stove, now the power is going out. It's kind of like, now I got the new car, now I'm having issues keeping the gas tank filled because it sucks gas, and now I'm having a hard time keeping the money around to keep that without, losing out in other areas. Something else is coming back to balance it off. The dissipating is like the problem is dissipating, but now there's a new problem. You have a new problem. You have a new problem. I feel like some of you are like, yeah, that's my life. I'm fine. Don't worry. A new problem surfaces. Somebody immediately comes in and rectifies that. So, for example, if it's a kitchen thing, like, okay, now I'm having electrical issues. Like, what's the deal? Oh, turns out that stove takes up more energy than the last one. So we just need to reroute the circuit, give the stove its own circuit. Not going to cost as much as you think. Let's do that. We fix that. Okay, that's going well. Same thing with like the car. Oh no, it's costing me much to do that. All right, so then I'm going to start carpooling, and I'm going to bring other people with me when I go places. They'll pay me gas to get places. That'll offset my gas money. Cool beans. That works out. You find a way. Something comes in to balance it out. Because I'm getting success with joy with this. The new problem, it seems like an issue to start with. It's quickly fixed. You get the assistance you need to fix it. You find out, oh, that's what's happening. Okay, this is what we're going to do to fix that. Whatever has to happen, even if it's the carpool thing. You know what I mean? Oh, my gas, it costs so much more because it uses so much more gas. Okay, when I go to work, I'll carpool and I'll just charge somebody. But there are 5 people, yeah. Okay, sure, you're bringing 5 people to work. Why not? But they each pitch in for gas every week. That gives you the money you need to make that correct. You're cool. You're good. Everybody's happy. This you fix. Now that you get everything back in perspective and the energy is really pumped here, it's kind of like, okay, the situation is right. I had a new challenge, overcame that challenge. Okay, now what do I want to do? Now what do I want to do? Because you got a bunch more opportunities, kind of like, hey, the way I fixed that, we made some improvements to the kitchen. Now I can use the stove. That gets me to thinking, what else can I do to improve the kitchen to maybe get some more benefit out of it? Same thing with like the carpooling. Oh, I'm carpooling there. I wonder what other opportunities, like maybe, do I want to be an Uber driver? Just argument's sake, like if that analogy hits, then it hits. But you know what I mean? Maybe I could be an Uber driver on the weekends. I can make some extra money that way too. Oh, I didn't think of that. Do I want to do that? I like talking to people. Why not? If that's for you. You know what I mean? You're all of a sudden like, hey, the way I fixed that, that's leaving me more opportunities. That's giving me more ideas. And you got all of these ideas about what you could possibly do. Okay. At this point, what they're saying to me here with these cards, because there's a bunch of them, be careful how excited you get. Because there's a period of time where you're thinking things through with the 7 of... Is that the 7? The 4 of Swords. The 7 is something else. I don't see it out here. Is it out here? I don't see it. I get a couple 6s. Which the 6s are making me think this, whatever the situation is, whatever you're going into, it may have a half-life. Like it may have a half-life. Like whatever you're going towards, you may try and like for a while, but you may not stick with it. Keep that in mind. Rest is needed. Think about what you're possibly going into. You got creation here with it too, right? You're taking a rest, but you're thinking about what to create next. I feel like it's something that may benefit you short term, which is fine, but keep that in mind when you're going forward. be careful about getting overexcited. For example, if we're going to use the car analogy, right? Oh, I make money with, people, I'm taking people to work and they're paying me gas money. That's offsetting that completely. That's awesome. I wonder if I want to be an Uber driver. And you're thinking, oh, I like to talk to people. But then on the weekends, you're finding out you're dragging drunks around. I'm sorry, but that happens. People are partying on the weekends. You end up, dragging drunks around, or there's arguing families, or there's kids in your car, and they mess up some of the upholstery, and you're like, I didn't expect this to be like this. It's turning out to be something you didn't want it to be. Don't get too excited. Take it slowly. For example, with that same Uber thing, if you decide you want to try it, start really slow and then be selective how you get into it. Start slow. I don't know how that works, but even if it's going to be the kitchen thing, like, oh, what about all these upgrades I want to do to the kitchen so it works better? You may find yourself in debt more than you expected because you get really excited. You make all these changes. You end up with this grand, awesome kitchen that you have to work 3 jobs to pay for. Just be careful. That's what they're saying with the vanity. Not that there's anything wrong with liking certain things. That's fine. But if it gets out of control, you may end up with an offset that you don't really like. So keep that in mind. Whatever you get into very slowly because it might have a half-life. You may get only so far into it and be like, well, I thought that would be cool, but the offset of this is not something I really want. That's why they're giving this reading. Like, this reading is hopefully coming to you before that happens. And I know this is going to happen, there's going to be some of you kind of like, well, I went through this a couple years ago. If this reading is coming to you now, and it happened a couple of years ago, they're saying you might have a repeat coming in. So they're highlighting this in your head, saying, hey, you might have a repeat of something you've already done that you probably don't want to repeat. That's all. Just keep that in mind, so that way if it comes around a second time, if you want to repeat it the same way it was before, that's your business. Cool. Do what you got to do. But if you don't, they're like, see it before it happens again. That's the point. All right. I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.